I'll be honest with you.
I like the vibe. The fish right there.
Yeah. So the board doesn't hire and fire football coaches. The board approves of the athletic director, who is essentially the athletic director recommends a hire and the board approves it. And then, you know, it is the athletic director's name that goes on the contract that has to sign off on it, but he has to ask for approval essentially. But it's Scott Strickland. Scott Strickland will be the person to decide to fire Billy Napier when or if he does decide to do that.
Who's supposed to fire him?
The president.
That's where UF finds itself in its deepest
The interim president is the one that hired him.
Walk-on president.
Well, this is the president.
We got to walk on that president too.
Yeah. Well, so Kent Fox was the president for 7 or 8 years, right? 7 years, I think. He retired. Ben Sass took over. I think things might be different if Ben Sass was still
Ben Sass was and is very interested in athletics. Kent Fox was very interested in making Florida the #1 public school in the country, which they did in the Wall Street Journal, which doesn't really take into account grades and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the Wall Street Journal came out with their publication for the first time last year about grades, right? So, like, this is where Florida finds itself, right? Like, football aside, right now they're missing a dean of a law school. They're missing multiple other high-ranking positions at the university. They're dealing with what seems to be a scandal on spend, not just on lavish sushi parties, but also on consultants, people that didn't necessarily have a known job responsibility, job title, weren't really, they were affiliated with the university, never moved to Gainesville, never really seen on campus, trying to figure a lot of that out. You've got an interim that already retired. So what's his desire? He's been teaching at the University of Florida, but what's his desire to go and make about some big change like this? Does he feel like it's in his purview? Also, how much does he care? We don't know the metrics in which Scott Strickland, that is held to by what Kent Fox has, right? So we don't know what is a passing grade or what's a grade to potentially get fired. We don't know any of those things, right? So the Board of Trustees has all of these other issues. And then you have a fan base and you have a university athletic department that brings in a ton of money, a ton of revenue into the university. On the same token, right, UF's out-of-state enrollment has dropped. The number of people that are applying has dropped both in-state and out-of-state. So you've got a lot of other micro and macro effects that the Board of Trustees are trying to deal with, on top of the fact that you have an incompetent head coach at the University of Florida. Now, what does that mean for the University of Florida going forward? Is that Billy Napier very well could be fired in the next couple of weeks. But what does it look like after that is probably the bigger question, and maybe not one that fans will be exceptionally happy about today.
It's just, you've lost your team. I think you lost the fan base. I think you lost your recruits in the trail. The way Miami beat you wasn't just a normal L. Like, they got real disrespectful, even with your recruits. In-state, I think you gotta reset the board. There's no way you can run it back.
Florida's got to move those recruits, because Texas A&M players were giving Florida recruits like towels and stuff.